Man, I love Sarasota. The weather's amazing, the beaches are beautiful, and the people, they're just so friendly. I should move here. Man, I hate it here. Freaking people and the tourists. Hey, you. Me? Yeah, I'm talking to you. You don't want to move here. The traffic is awful, and the people are mean, and there's hurricanes. Hurricanes? You don't want to live here. Do I really want to move here?
This scene has been dramatically acted by a handsome young man to show a potential scenario that has probably happened somewhere online.
So you've explored the beaches, the restaurants, and the arts and culture, and you've fallen in love with the vacation lifestyle that Sarasota provides. Maybe you stayed here for a month. Maybe you stayed here for even longer. But obviously, it's totally different living here full time than it is vacationing here. And trust me, I would know. I'm a born and raised Sarasota local, and I've heard it from friends, family, and clients the same. I love living in Sarasota. I could totally live here full time, but honestly, I don't think that they could. So to make sure that you don't make these 3 huge mistakes, I want to give you the top 3 things to consider before moving to Sarasota. And before we do that, let's get out of this heat and into the office. What's up, everybody? My name is Zach Payne, and I'm a local real estate agent here in Sarasota, Florida. And this channel is all about helping you make the most informed decisions about buying, selling, and relocating to Sarasota, Florida. So if that's something you're interested in, consider subscribing to the channel. Now, I'll preface this by saying my #1 piece of advice is probably going to be pretty shocking to you, especially coming from a real estate agent. So make sure to stick around to the end to hear it. So the first factor I seriously want you to consider when moving here is the weather. And I don't want to hear, oh, well, the weather's fine. I've been on vacation to Sarasota at the beaches and the pools, and it's really not that bad. I come from a cold place. I'm ready for the warmth. Well, think about just walking to your car after work or heading to the grocery store. And yes, I get it. Shorts and flip-flops are common here, but you can only undress so much. Sarasota offers so many fun events and activities year-round, and unfortunately, one of the things that I hate to see is people overestimating their tolerance to the intense heat. Last year, I went to the Chalk Festival in town, where many artists from around the world display amazing designs and drawings, all created using only chalk. But it's outside with essentially no shade at all. Sadly, last year, I had to watch as a person collapse to the ground, and bystanders had to call 911 and have the ambulance take them away. And this is unfortunately more common than you would think. At farmers markets, the beach, even just walking around during summertime can be really difficult, even for a lifelong resident like myself. So are you sure you're ready to live in the heat, full time, with essentially no breaks? Let me show you what's common to see in most cars here in Sarasota. So here's my car parked outside in the driveway because I don't have access to a garage. Now, when I bought my car, it didn't have any window tint on it, so I made sure to invest in that first. Now, if you take a look inside, you can tell that I have a window shade, and I have to put a towel on my gear shifter because it gets so hot. Sometimes if I forget to put up my window cover, I have to hold the steering wheel at the bottom because the top can get so hot. And I gotta make sure that I take my cover off. Plus, I have to be super careful about this metal connector because it can get so hot, it can burn my hand. Are you ready to see Florida's version of fall? What about giving up white Christmases altogether? Well, maybe not completely. Oh, how about seeing the seasons change? Well, unless you consider tourist season and love bug season, then never mind. Also, Sarasota is notorious for just raining whenever, wherever it wants, with no rhyme or reason. So expect to be rained out of the beach at least a handful of times. It's almost like a rite of passage to be running as the rain and the wind pelt your back, while the loud thunder and lightning explode behind you. It's almost like I'm there now. And that brings me into my next factor to consider: hurricanes. Unlike natural disasters elsewhere in the country, hurricanes can torment those in its projected path for weeks. The ability to track a hurricane is definitely a positive thing, but it can leave a lot of uncertainty, waiting, and anxiety in a lot of people. The 3 most recent hurricanes to affect Sarasota: Hurricane Irma in 2017, Ian in 2022, and Idalia in 23. Coincidentally, all with I names. Now, let me give you a rundown of what happened during these last few hurricanes. I remember Hurricane Irma was projected to hit the eastern coast of Florida, so everybody drives across the coast to Sarasota to find shelter. About 5 days before the hurricane is even supposed to hit, Sarasota has 0 gas in any of the stations. There's no water, no canned food. It looked like an apocalypse. And all of a sudden, the hurricane wobbles. Now it's going to the west coast, Sarasota's coast. Now everybody on the west coast is panicking. All the people who evacuated here are now freaking out also. Many people attempted to drive north to Georgia and the Carolinas, only to get stranded in gridlock traffic on an empty tank. all gas stations were empty, and there was zero lodging available unless you could make it north of Atlanta. This is the reality of hurricane season, and unfortunately, it's something that you're gonna have to weigh out when considering moving here. Another factor you need to consider is Sarasota's rapid growth. I mean, from 2010 to 2021, Sarasota grew 11 out of 11 years on an average of 1.5% per year. And Sarasota's way of competing with the higher population is just slapping a roundabout on every major intersection and calling it a day. Okay, that might be a little bit dramatic, but it's the reality of Sarasota. Its infrastructure isn't perfect. Actually, it's far from it. Sarasota can't keep up with the amount of people living here, but they still promote this idyllic tropical lifestyle. The truth of the matter is, it takes almost 30 minutes to get 6 miles towards the beach. We're stuck in roundabouts, construction, and we have unaffordable living for the working class, which is forcing these people to move further away. And because people are living so much further away from where they're working, there's a lot more people on the road, and fatal car accidents are at an all-time high, along with major traffic congestion bottled around many points of construction throughout town. Oh, and don't even get me started on the old and wealthy cranky people who move downtown only to complain about the noise that happens there, slowly pushing out every event that has ever been held in Sarasota for longer than they've even lived here. Now, my one piece of advice for those considering to move here is to rent first. Now, I know what you're saying, but renting is so expensive. Well, so is a $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 house. If you can do this one thing, you will quickly learn if Sarasota is really right for you. Maybe you need 3 months. Maybe you need a year. Regardless, I always see it beneficial to get your feet on the ground long term to experience what it's like here in Sarasota. Oh, and there was one other factor I forgot to mention. And this is the most important thing you need to consider when moving to Sarasota. What's it gonna cost you? Watch this video right here to see what it really is gonna cost you to move and live in Sarasota. And find out for yourself, is it really worth it?